Before we begin, I want to say this. If you've ever felt something you couldn't explain, a sudden weight, an inexplicable drain, a presence that shifted your entire being without any visible cause, then what we're discussing today will change how you understand that feeling. This teaching comes from Sufi wisdom, and it's one of the deepest practices of spiritual healing. If this resonates with you, if you find yourself drawn to these kinds of teachings, please subscribe to this channel, because what follows is not just information. It's a path of understanding that could reorient your entire spiritual life. Now, let's begin. You felt it, a sudden heaviness, unexplained exhaustion, a tightness in your chest. Prayers became difficult. Peace disappeared, and you could not understand why. Nothing changed externally. Everything is still in place. But something shifted internally, something you cannot name, but you feel deeply. You ask yourself, what happened to me? And the answer might be simpler than you think. Someone looked at you, not just looked, but looked with a gaze that carried intention, a glance laden with emotion, a stare weighted with feeling, and that look, that seemingly innocent silent glance, changed something inside you. This is what spiritual wisdom calls the evil eye. Not magic, not superstition, but the very real transmission of intention through the gaze. According to Sufi understanding, the eye is not merely an organ of sight. The eye is a window, and through that window, the intention of the heart finds its way. What lives in your heart? Jealousy, admiration mixed with longing, resentment, desire, travels through your gaze and reaches the person you're looking at. And if that person is unguarded, unprepared, unprotected, that intention enters them. Think about how much you see with your eyes every day. Thousands of glances, hundreds of stares, each one carrying the inner state of the person looking. And you absorb all of it, often without realizing. You walk into a room and immediately feel uncomfortable. Why? Because someone in that room looked at you with an intention you did not even see consciously, but your spirit felt it. You receive a compliment that sounds kind, but afterward you feel drained. Why? Because the compliment carried admiration so intense it bordered on possession, a desire to have what you have, and that desire, transmitted through the eyes, left a mark on your spirit. A child cries without reason. A home loses its peace without explanation. A business struggles despite good management. These are not always accidents or circumstances. Sometimes they are the result of an unseen transmission, a glance, an intention, a look. According to Sufi wisdom, the eye operates on a frequency that has nothing to do with physical distance. Someone across the world can affect you with their gaze if you are open to it. Because intention transcends space. The heart that looks with longing, with jealousy, with possession, that heart reaches you regardless of where you stand. This is why in spiritual teachings there is always a warning about visibility. Do not display your blessings. Do not broadcast your joy. Do not showcase your beauty, not because display is sinful, but because display opens a door. Every revealed blessing becomes a target. Every visible joy invites the gaze of those who do not have it. Every displayed beauty draws the attention of those who wish to possess it, and not all gazes carry light. Some carry heaviness, some carry hunger, some carry the weight of longing mixed with resentment. The eye of someone who loves you is one thing. The eye of someone who wishes to be you is another entirely. The eye of someone who genuinely wishes you well lifts you. The eye of someone who secretly wishes they were in your position weakens you. And here is what makes this dangerous. Most people do not know the difference. Most gazes appear neutral. Most looks seem innocent. But beneath the surface an intention moves, and that intention is transmitted whether you see it or not. In Sufi wisdom, there are different kinds of evil eye. The first is conscious malice, someone deliberately wishing you harm through their gaze. But this is rare. More common is the second kind, mixed intention. Someone loves you, but also envies you. Someone admires you, but also resents you. Someone is happy for you, but also wishes they were in your place. This mixed intention is the most dangerous because it hides. It wears the mask of affection. It speaks kind words, but the gaze carries contradiction, and contradiction, when transmitted into someone's spirit, creates disruption. The third kind of evil eye comes from admiration so intense it becomes possessive. A grandparent looks at a grandchild with such intensity of love that the child becomes unsettled. A friend admires your life so much that their admiration begins to drain you. The intention is not malicious, but the intensity is overwhelming. And the fourth kind comes from social media. Thousands of eyes on a single image, thousands of intentions mixed together, some carrying blessing, many carrying comparison, many carrying the heavy weight of people looking at your life and measuring it against their own, always finding themselves lacking. And that collective weight, that collective gaze, has real power. So what happens when the evil eye affects you? First, the peace disappears. Not because you did anything wrong, not because circumstances changed, but because an invisible intention entered your spirit and disturbed it. Then clarity fades. Prayers become mechanical. Worship loses its sweetness. You go through the motions, but the connection is gone. It is as if a veil has been drawn between you and peace. Then small things begin to break. Projects stall for no reason. Relationships become tense without cause. Sleep becomes difficult. Appetite changes. Motivation vanishes. And you cannot trace the source because the source was invisible. Finally, and this is what worries spiritual teachers most, you begin to doubt yourself. You begin to think the problem is within you, that you are weak, that you are failing, that something is wrong with your faith or your practice. But the problem is not within. The problem is the uninvited presence of someone else's intention. Now, some of you will dismiss this. You will say it is superstition, that it is impossible for a glance to carry such power. And to you, I would say this. You are looking at it wrong. The power is not in the glance itself. The power is in what the glance carries, the intention, the emotion, the inner state of the person looking. These are very real forces, and when one consciousness directs intense emotion toward another consciousness, something happens. Not magically, but energetically, spiritually, psychologically. Modern psychology has a word for this. It is called emotional contagion. When one person's emotional state influences another's, when the intensity in one person's heart is transmitted to someone in proximity and affects their state. Spiritual wisdom has known this for thousands of years. It simply called it the evil eye. So how do you protect yourself? First, by understanding that the problem is not the gaze itself. The problem is being unguarded, being too visible, being too open. Too much of you is on display, and every display is an invitation. This is why spiritual teachers have always taught concealment. Not hiding yourself completely, but not broadcasting yourself either. Keep your blessings private. Keep your joy inside. Keep your beautiful things close. Because what is not seen cannot be targeted. Second, by protecting your inner space, by building an invisible shield through awareness and intention. When you are conscious that gazes carry intention, you become more selective about which gazes you allow near you. You avoid the company of those whose eyes carry heaviness. You distance yourself from those whose admiration feels more like possession. Third, by grounding yourself in something larger than the gaze of humans, by remembering that you are protected by something that transcends human intention, by beginning and ending each day with the conscious intention that you are shielded from the weight of other people's looks. Fourth, by practicing gratitude in private, by acknowledging your blessings alone, in secret, in your heart, because what you are grateful for in private grows. What you are grateful for in public becomes a target for the gazes of others. And finally, by understanding that the eye operates on frequency. A gaze of pure malice affects you differently than a gaze of mixed intention. A look of genuine love lifts you. A look of genuine blessing strengthens you. But you must be discerning about which gazes you absorb and which ones you let pass through. In modern times, this has become more important than ever because now visibility is constant. Your life is on display, your happiness is photographed, your blessings are broadcasted, and thousands of eyes, most of them carrying their own lack, their own longing, their own comparison, are always watching. Every post is a display. Every photo is an invitation for the gaze. Every update is an opening for intention to enter. And most of the time, you are completely unaware of what is being transmitted through all those looks. This is not to say you should hide. This is to say you should be aware. You should know that visibility has a cost, that every blessing you show becomes subject to the gazes of others, that every joy you display draws the attention of those who do not have it. Some spiritual teachers recommend a return to privacy, a return to doing good in secret, experiencing joy privately, living blessings quietly, because what is not seen cannot harm you, what is not displayed cannot be coveted, what is not shown cannot draw the weight of other people's looks. But for most people living in this age, complete privacy is impossible. So the alternative is protection. Building an invisible boundary that says you may look, but you cannot enter. You may see, but you cannot affect. This boundary is built through several practices. Through awareness of your own visibility, through conscious gratitude in private, through surrounding yourself with protective intention, through limiting the company of those whose gazes carry heaviness, through beginning each day knowing that you are shielded, and perhaps most importantly, through understanding that not all gazes affect you equally. If your spirit is strong, if your connection to something greater is solid, if your inner peace is anchored in truth rather than in the approval of others, then the gaze of others has less power over you, because the evil eye can only penetrate where there is an opening. And the opening comes from dependence. Dependence on external approval, dependence on being seen, dependence on the judgment of others. When you stop depending on the gaze of others for your value, when you stop needing to be seen to feel real, when you ground yourself in something that transcends human perception, then the evil eye loses its power. This is the ultimate protection, not hiding from gazes, but becoming immune to them. So here is what changes when you understand this. You become more careful about what you display. You become more aware of who is looking and with what intention. You become more protective of your inner peace. You become more selective about visibility. And most importantly, you stop blaming yourself for the heaviness you feel. You stop thinking something is wrong with you when actually something has entered you from outside. And you begin to protect yourself not from malice, but from visibility. Because the eye may look innocent, but intention is never invisible. And what is transmitted through a glance is as real as anything physically touched. Now you understand. And understanding is the first step to protection. If this resonates with you, please do two things. Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might be the permission someone else needs to stop doubting themselves. And subscribe to this channel for more. Protect your peace, guard your visibility, shield your blessings. Because not all eyes carry light.